Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. It's Sunday, which means we're back at it again with the Runeterra content, but I didn't really have any decks in particular I wanted to show off. I'm feeling a little lazy on this Sunday here, so instead of doing our regular games where I build a deck, show you guys off the deck and how it works, and then go ahead and play a couple of normal games, instead we're going to be hopping into some Lab of Legends games instead, try to get a couple more wins on the board here. As you can tell, I have been slacking in my efforts to get through all of the champions here, so we're going to be hopping in with the Lucian again, as he was the first one I played when Lab of Legends first came out, and I wasn't able to actually get the win on him. I got very, very deep into the run for my first time, which was pretty nice, but wasn't able to get the win, unfortunately. So if you're not familiar with Lab of Legends, this is essentially the PvE mode where you play against a bunch of bot opponents, all of which have their own unique twists on the game, and you sort of develop a deck and a strategy as you play along. So either way, going to be going ahead and taking a look at our first passive here. Now, generally speaking, I feel like these are all pretty bad. Even Trefarian Might, I don't have the deck build for it. As you can see, the cards I'll be starting with over here on the left-hand side. This is all, like, standard based on the champion you pick, so none of this is a surprise to me. Now, this is all bad. The question is, do I take a reroll here in the hopes of getting something better? I know there's like domination or something that allows you to rally at the beginning of every turn. That would be really nice to have. I do think I'm going to take Enfeebling Strike though, because since Lucian and Senna both have quick attack, if they strike before the enemy, they'll reduce its power by the damage dealt, and hopefully mean that they can survive the backswing even if they're blocked by something that's pretty beefy. So we'll try to hold on to the rerolls for a little bit later, just in case maybe there's something else I want to try and dig for. And here we go, first round. We're up against spiders everywhere, which the catch in this one is just that the AI gets a free Spiderling card in hand every turn. It's really not that big of a catch, but then again, these first couple rounds are intended to be pretty simple. Usually I feel like you can almost always clear through the Shadow Isles map because it's not that hard. It's still early on in the run. Really, the Freljord is where it's going to be very difficult for this deck to win. I feel like that's the hardest part of any of these runs, is getting through there, so we'll hold on to this hand, actually. Nothing I can play on turn one. Having two Lucians and a Senna is actually pretty good. It also means I can throw away a Lucian to transform the Senna, and then throw away the Senna to transform the Lucian. So there's some maybe fun stuff I can do with it. I'll definitely come down with the Spiderling. Now, the other catch, if you have not played Lab of Legends before, is that my life total will not restore until after every 3 rounds. What this means is that I can and will be getting slowly beaten down over the course of the games, and so I want to be trying to be a little careful with my life total here, lest I accidentally go completely out of life or don't have enough for the more challenging maps in the area. But being at 30 does mean I have some leeway. I'm usually not concerned at all about life loss up until I hit 20 or less. So playing this pretty simply here, I'm not altogether too worried. We'll just go ahead and go to combat, as the Spiderlings shouldn't be able to do much of anything here. Even if they kill the Lucian with something like the Vile Feast, that's fine, because that flips my Senna, and then I still have the second Lucian in hand. Well, flips my Senna. It's not quite a flip, but it is still pretty good. And a lot of this first round is just kind of dealing with how obnoxious the AI can be, honestly. A lot of this essentially is me trying to not get run over by an absolute ton of spiders, and just, the thing is, they aren't actually that threatening in the grand scheme of things, but they are pretty obnoxious just in how much damage you can kind of arbitrarily take, especially when they have something like a Frenzied Skitterer show up. So we'll go ahead, we'll just try to trade out as effectively as we can here. Yeah, that's fine, I can take a couple more damage. But so, and this is why this round is, like, particularly obnoxious, is just because you know the AI will likely not be able to beat you with just spiders. Like, 90% of their deck is just the free Spiderlings cards they're getting at the start of each turn. So really, you're not worried about winning, but the question is, how long will it take you to get there? That being said, though, we should actually be able to get there pretty quick here, as we're going to go ahead and pull a couple of these guys. Might have been able to do more, as, yeah, we will get a block here. And they're going to Glimpse Beyond, so the Spider's going to die. He's going to dig slightly deeper into the deck. It's probably not worth it single combating here, because what is he going to do? Draw into more Spiderlings? So. And now the biggest thing is going to be after this round, where the game will let me choose the first champion, or the second champion to add to the deck. That's really where the deck strategy kind of starts coming together, and you have to really make some big decisions about how you want your deck to handle going forward. That's really where the strategy starts coming in, where you start kind of getting a sense for where you're going to end up. So we'll see where that gets. If I ever kill the spiders, the biggest thing is because he's able to flood the board so effectively. Oh, that's right. Fearsome. That's a little frustrating. I really didn't want to take more damage, but I don't actually have a block here unless I want to Radiant Strike, which I think we will. Because we can block out here. We can take the 3, which is probably fine. Kill off a couple more spiders and see if he's got anything else here. We're actually getting close to the Lucian flip. I forget he doesn't have to see Senna die. I was actually kind of sad the first time I played this out because I was like, oh my god, like it's just me constantly killing Lucian's wife in order to get success here. But this should be the game. I don't think there's anything of that instant speed they can use, so yeah. Oh, Lucian here is going to flip at the very end of the game though, so we got to see that. Yay me. So first run done, like I said, it can take a lot longer than you think it will just because the AI is so easily able to flood the board with a bunch of 1/1s that, like, yeah, they're not threatening, but also there are so many of them I can't get an attack through. But yeah, you're almost guaranteed to win the first round. I don't think I've even seen anybody lose that first round. Really, the question is how much damage you take. But like I said, these first couple rounds are pretty simple. I'm not at all worried. So if I can get past all my menus here, we'll get on to the second matchup here. And also be able to kind of see what the champions they offer me are going to be. I think I picked Garen last time. Yeah, so we have Kench, Tryndamere, and Lux. And none of these are very good. The Remembrance is actually okay. Now, it does keep me Mono Demacia, which means that if there are things I want to deal with, other cards I want to add, it's not that, it's not that great in that regard. But at the very least, the Mage Seeker, he is a low-cost card, which early game is like all that matters in the lab game modes. Tryndamere is just going to be bad. I can't think of almost any opportunity where I'll want to cast Tryndamere. Tahm Kench is also bad, though, so I will expend a reroll here because I do feel like this is a big change. We have the Lux, we have the Callista, and we have Kindred. So we're just going to take the Callista because she synergizes so well with Lucian. This is actually a deck I should be playing for you guys next week, but because Callista and Lucian both want to see allies die, they actually synergize pretty well together, which is kind of funny, so hopping into the game against Mistwraith. Now, the caveat here is whenever a Mistwraith my opponent controls dies, a Mistwraith is created in their deck. So, generally, it just means that after a certain point, they'll never run out of Mistwraiths. They will always have more Mistwraiths to bring out. That's a horrendously bad hand. Made a little bit better by the presence of the Cythria. I don't believe there's any one-cost cards the AI has in this deck, so we're going to be able to get in for a couple damage here. Start that clock. At 10 life, that's the biggest thing that makes these early rounds really easy. You don't have that much damage to do in order to just put them out. A couple good turns and really it's just kind of over for them. Now the question here is, do I save for the single combat or do I bring out... Yeah, I'll take the damage here because I don't think it's that relevant. I can bring out the Callista on the next turn, and even if the AI starts blocking out my other units, it shouldn't matter. We have the Senna, but without Lucian, I don't feel like I want to play her. And yeah, if the AI kills my guys, I don't actually care that much because that's just going to make Callista stronger. And the +1/+1 is going to keep her safe from Doom Beast. Not blocking the Cythria, but going to be taking a little less damage. Yeah, so you see how that effect works. Once the Mistwraith dies, there's just another Mistwraith in the deck. So it also means that the AI will never run out of cards in the deck, so which generally speaking is how these games are going to go. The AI will not run out of cards. I am just going to do this, I think, just to get rid of the Mistwraith, and also kill off Cythria, which gets Callista much closer to the flip. See if he's got anything else he can play at 2 mana. No, he does not. I do remember this deck can be a little frustrating to deal with because of how many removal spells it has. Like, I think this deck is, like, running Vengeance and things like that, which can be kind of obnoxious, but... And we'll hold on to the 3 mana here for Prismatic Barrier in case of those removal spells, like I was kind of saying, so... Yeah, so we will Prismatic. Get in for 4. Keep the Callista alive, so she's going to flip because of Cythria dying. And I've actually had runs here before where I've played the... it was the Heimerdinger run. I picked up a Callista just to sort of, whatever, it's my next champion, sure. And the Callista ended up being the most relevant part of the deck. It really wasn't much of a Heimerdinger run. It was more of a Callista run, as it ended up being. So that was kind of fun. Bring out another Doom Beast. We'll have the Vanguard Cavalry as a good blocker. Now, the biggest thing is, yeah, we are actually going to preserve the Callista here if we can. The Senna's fine. I don't really care if she dies. We'll have the Vanguard Cavalry as well, so even if he brings out another unit, I should be okay unless he's somehow top-decked removal, which it doesn't look like he does. So we'll be able to swing through here and get on to the end of it. Also, I did forget, that does allow Senna to come back as the Callista Oathsworn. And it's going to Stalking Shadows, but I don't think it's likely to find anything that will help it, given that I'm already in combat. There's the Vengeance, like I said, they do main deck removal, but that's all he's going to be able to play, so be able to get in here and move on to the next round, which I know is against Thresh. So that round, it can be easy or somewhat harder. The easy version is if the AI, if you're just able to clear the AI's board every single time they play a unit, then because the whole catch is they start with a Vault of Helia on the battlefield, which then at the start of the round means that they'll lose whatever unit that they had in order to get a bigger unit, so the AI can sort of accelerate very efficiently in that regard. But if you're able to kill everything they have, then the Vault of Helia does nothing. Tempted to take the Twin Shadows here for somebody. The Avarice Blade is not nearly as useful as you might think, given that it's like the AI decks all have very consistent card draws. You know what the AI decks have. Spirit of the Spectral Wraith I don't think is ever worth taking because you don't want your champions to be ephemeral. Really the biggest thing is which champion I end up wanting to have more copies of, which I do think is the Lucian, given that I've already got the Sennas. I think we're gonna take Twin Shadows. 2 Lucians is pretty good, and if the ephemeral Lucian dies, then the Senna can potentially get her bonus. None of these are particularly good, but I think we will take the Bark Beast, as again, this is a deck that wants to be losing units. Like I said, this is like really, really consistent with a previous deck I've played, or I've built, which does rely around Lucian and Callista both needing units to die, so in that regard, I kind of have a blueprint in mind. Some of the fun of the labs runs can be that you don't really have a blueprint. You just kind of have to pick 2 champions, put them in a deck, and say, okay, how is this deck actually going to work? We will mulligan away the Black Spear, but I've also got the Haunted Relic Callista combo, which is pretty nice, but nothing early. That's why this is really bad. And drew another Callista. This is a really bad opening hand. He came out with the Warden's Prey too. Now, essentially, he either has the Warden's Prey or the Hapless Aristocrat. The Aristocrat sucks because even if you kill it, he'll get the Spiderling that will then get sucked away in the Vault of Helia for a unit. But the Warden's Prey is like the one you can attack into, and he'll block and kill it, and there's a lot of stuff you can do there, potentially, but unfortunately, it's not going to work out this time. Caustic Cask. I actually didn't know that was in his deck. Interesting. So we will block out here just to limit the amount of damage I'm going to take. Hilariously, the Caustic Cask does mean that he'll take some damage too, and he's got a lot less life to work with than I do. And that unit will get sucked away into the Vault of Helia and given the Blighted Caretaker, which it's funny because the Vault of Helia could be a good card here, but a lot of his units don't actually get bonuses for just being summoned. They only get the bonus if they're able to be played from hand and have a target. Okay, Undying, but that can't block, so I don't really care. And this is how the Callista combo kind of works, is you use the Haunted Relic, you create your 3 Ephemerals, and then you swing with all of them plus the Callista. Because the Ephemeral units are guaranteed to die, you don't end up having anything to worry about. You're guaranteed the Callista flip if they do or don't block, which, actually, he might be dead here. No, because Callista's only going to go up to 5 power, so he'll go down to 1 life. Which, it would have been funny if I could have killed him outright, but we will at least get him down extremely low, and I'm wondering, can Black Spear? Nah, Black Spear does only hit units, unfortunately. Yeah, see, so the Chronicler of Ruin, like, you could be able to kill the Undying, bring it back at slightly larger, have another Undying in your graveyard to revive, but has the Blighted Caretaker, so we'll be able to do something with that. I'm sitting on a handful of spells, though, so I, unfortunately, don't have a lot I can do. What I will do here... Oh, and I don't actually have enough mana to play anything else. I was going to Prismatic Barrier and then single combat one of the other units just so I could take a little less damage. It shouldn't matter too much because most of his board is going to be dead at the end of this round as it is. But also, getting down to 6 is a little scary for me, I'm not going to lie. See if I could top deck a unit. I would love that. I believe this is his Thresh. Yes, it is the Thresh. Yeah, so that's the biggest reason for this deck is you're sort of able to cheese out the Thresh. We are going to top deck a unit, which I'm almost wondering if it's a better idea to keep the single combat or... No, because I will summon another unit and the Undying can't block. Top deck's the Phantom Prankster. Well, let's go to combat here. It's fine. We'll summon back a Cythria, which is not that large, but is large enough. Miscall, which he did lose the 3/3 earlier, so I guess that's what he's getting back, which is not that relevant, because again, he doesn't get the trigger, so there's sort of a limit on the amount of value he'll gain. Well, I did forget this, and actually, this is a really, really scary card for me. If he top decks into something like the Blighted Caretaker, I just lose to that. But it always takes his biggest unit. I'm going to take some more damage, though. He's got the Tortured Prodigy this time. Into another Tortured Prodigy. So we're going to try and at least flood the board here, but I actually think I'm dead. Unless I can find creative ways of blocking that don't involve my units dying, that don't involve his units dying, which unfortunately he's guaranteed to die, no matter what happens with anything I block. Unless I can, yeah, we should have seen this earlier, but we are going to have to use the single combat just to get rid of the Phantom Prankster, because otherwise that is just going to straight up murder me. And honestly, I was thinking this run was probably going to be okay, but all of a sudden, we're in a very scary situation. Now, you're kind of seeing the ability that I took at the beginning there, the Enfeebling Strike, reducing the power of his units every time they die. We do have another Prismatic Barrier, so we're just going to go right back to combat here. I know he's got enough blocks to stop me. We're not seeing units, which is really, really bad. Oh, he doesn't have a block for the Callista because the Callista has Vengeance, but no! He's just going to murder the Callista. That's tragic, but I have to let it resolve because Barrier doesn't protect it. It's a kill effect, it's not damage. Now, I do have my Black Spear online. He's got a Scuttlegeist. This should not have been this hard. I really feel like this shouldn't actually be that, this brutal, but all of a sudden, man. He's got another Thresh in hand that he hasn't bothered to play yet. We shouldn't die on the attack unless he's able to play another unit, which he does have that Thresh. So there's the potential that I do lose here unless I draw a unit. I've drawn 2 units, technically, because of how Silverwing Vanguard works. Goes to combat. Does not attack with a Scuttlegeist, interestingly enough. We will block here, and I am going to Barrier the bird because I want to keep it alive, because if I have the challengers, that'll be what allows me to actually open a hole in my opponent's defenses here. It also prevents the Thresh from getting closer to level up, but that's mostly irrelevant because I should have it here. I say should. We'll see. The AI may have top decked even more removal to deal with my Callista. We'll grab the only units that can block here. We'll get another Cythria at the end. This should be it. Yeah, and the AI is going to let it resolve. So we managed to make it. That was a lot closer than it had any right to be, but because I've completed 3 maps, I will now be restored to 30 full health. So I'm not, you know, the run is not over. We definitely had a bit of a scare there, but we are going to be moving on. And unfortunately, the next bit is much scarier than the last. I feel like the Freljord is the place where the run is either going to get broken or where you're going to be able to take it all the way through. So we'll see if we can actually take it all the way there. So we have our passives. Target ally with a single target spell copied onto your weakest ally. That seems okay. I don't have a lot of buff spells though, so that's not super relevant. Dragon's Rage, summon a unit, grant it Fury. It is a dragon and Domination, round start rally. I do think I want Domination, as that just gives me early game advantage. I have so many good units that I can just be swinging with aggressively that I do think I want to take that. Confront could be useful, but also Sap Magic could be useful in grindier games. I do think I'm going to take Confront. I don't really like any of these, is the biggest thing. Morning Light is slow. I don't have any Daybreak spells. Like paying 5 mana for a +2/+2. I could pay 1 more mana for an extra +2/+2, or for an extra +1/+1 with something like Demacia, so I don't really like Daybreak that much. I don't like any of these, but we will take Confront. I feel like having the Challenger will let me actually pick out threats and kill them and make the most use of my units. Confront is also permanent, so I do have that potential bonus. And going into the Freljord against Hunters. Now, the whole shtick with this is that the weakest ally I have is made vulnerable at the start of every round. It does mean that my Lucian is actually a little risky, but we'll see how this goes. Now, the biggest thing here is because I have the Lucian, and I have nothing to play, so I will have Radiant Strike in hand as well. So even though it's not my turn, I will still get to swing, which is really nice. And we can follow that up with the Senna on the next round as well. Stalking Wolf is pretty disappointing for me. Okay, but we can bait out the attack. So he's going to go ahead. He's just going to kill the rabbit that the Stalking Wolf gives me for free. But now I can bring out the Lucian, who comes with a second copy. I forgot. That's the modifier I gave him. So we are going to be able to get in for a ton of damage here. And Lucian will see himself die, which also means he makes progress on his quest, hilariously enough. And now we can bring out the Senna here. We can swing in with the Lucian, which actually, unfortunately, because the Lucian trigger doesn't happen until after he's attacked, he's just going to Brittle Steel, which is kind of disappointing, into an Avarosan Trapper. So I can't actually swing with the Senna, unfortunately, because she will just get killed. But she will get her bonus because, no, Lucian didn't make his, oh, when I'm summoned, summon an ephemeral copy of me. Okay. I guess on Attack Declaration, that would be a pretty ridiculous ability, so I can kind of understand. Enraged Yeti is really not good for me, but I have a thought. And this is only going to work because of Enfeebling Strike. So we give Lucian Barrier here. Senna should be able to kill the Avarosan Trapper, and because Lucian has hit him first, he's going to go down to a 2-2, which now means I'm not that scared of him on offense. Rhymefang Wolf, though, is not good, and unfortunately Radiant Strike is not going to save my unit no matter what happens. So I'm just going to play the Bark Beast, because I know something's going to... He picked the... Okay, I'm not about to look a gift horse in the mouth here. He should not have taken the Bark Beast, but I guess the AI prioritizes getting a free kill as opposed to trading. But that just places me in such an advantage. Lucian is still getting made vulnerable every round. Now, I have enough mana that I could really greed and go for the Callista flip, which... He's got 5 mana. This deck does have some pretty scary later game stuff, but I can also theoretically get the... Oh, the Ice Veil Archer is going to come out. That's fine, though, because Haunted Relic is still going to allow me the Lucian flip automatically. He's going to take out the Rhymefang Wolf, which is kind of sad for me. But it shouldn't matter too much. And essentially that's because no matter what happens, Lucian is guaranteed to flip. He'll get another point of power, and then he'll be able to kill Rhymefang Wolf before it has a chance to block. Yeah, this is a far cry from the first time I played this particular run with the Lucian. In that run, like, literally every game, Lucian was seeing his wife die, which was kind of funny and kind of sad, but this time around, I don't think we've actually seen the Senna die at all. It's always been the Lucian. Now, what I'd love to have... Oh, that's right, because Lucian rallies me. So this is actually enough damage, because the Lucian on his own would have killed my opponent. So now what I really want to see, though, is something that can give Lucian Overwhelm. Because that is what really makes double attack stupid. The biggest problem is because double attack, you have to be able to hit twice, and you pretty much kill them with the first attack, but then because they were blocked, you don't have anything to do with that second attack. Giving Overwhelm, though, means that you can not only kill the thing that blocked you, but then punch the enemy nexus directly. So definitely hunting for a modifier that will allow me to do that. I don't think I get a champion modifier in this round, though. I think it's another card modifier. Okay, yeah, so Laurent Chevalier to create another Challenger follower, which I do think I like. Ember Maiden with the +1/+1 is funny. It means that if I have enough spells to cast, I can keep her alive through her own effect, but she's going to kill my board way faster than she kills the opponent's board. Soul Shepherd is kind of tempting, but I don't have a lot of ephemerals. I think we will take the Chevalier, as I think he's just okay. Giant Spell to make Lucian a 3/4. I do quite like that. Uglet's Witch Cap is not good on the Radiant Strike. It already costs 1. Elixir skill to replace itself after I cast Haunted Relic. I think I just want to take the Giant Spells. Lucian is sort of the core of this deck. He's what is going to let me win. So, moving on to Scars here. And now this one is really obnoxious because the AI starts with a Scar Grounds in play. And I have not talked about it a lot on the channel so far, but Scar Grounds is a hell of a card. It is, like, Battle Scars was an existing archetype since the game came out. But it was kind of middle of the pack. I got some buffs like the first couple of weeks of the game being out. Like, it really wasn't that good of a deck archetype. But then with Scargrounds coming out, just like, whoo boy, that deck is nutso. So we'll open with a Mark Beast. I'm assuming he has something, which is the Unscarred Reaver, so I can't attack into it because she'll survive. She'll get the not only the bonus from herself, but also the bonus from Scargrounds, and that's why Scargrounds is so good. Ruthless Raider, and all I'm sitting on is a Bark Beast with Radiant Strikes. We're going to take the 3. We do have some life to lose. I do have to be a little careful. I can't just lose life, you know, ridiculously fast in this kind of environment because of how powerful the cards can be. He's coming on the Scar thing. I'm actually getting curved out on here. That is really, really bad for me. I can't actually even swing with the Bark Beast here because Scarthane Stefan can block it and survive even over both Radiant Strikes. So we will at least Radiant Strike enough for the Callista to survive, get over the Ruthless Raider. The key here is I have to kill everything in one go. I cannot allow them to survive at all, because if the unit survives, it will get a ton of bonuses, and I just kind of die to it. Shatter is not good. I do think at this point I'm going to single combat just to get some kind of value from my Callista. Yeah, so Scarthane Stefan's going to die. We're also going to get the bonus on Bark Beast here, which is very good. Bringing out the Lucian, and now this is not my attack token, but because of my effect, my domination effect, I will automatically rally. So we can go in here. Elixir of Iron, which is not good because Lucian will punch her first, and then she'll get all of the bonuses. So I have to play that Radiant Strike because otherwise Lucian just dies on the backswing because he hits her first. Oh, but I did forget about my other effect. She goes down to 0 because of Enfeebling Strike. That's really funny. I actually have not seen that effect before. We're going to give my Bark Beast Challenger, and we're going to pull the Scar Maiden, or Unscarred Reaver. Elixir of Iron, unfortunately, keeps her alive, but because of Enfeebling Strike, she should never get any bigger. Okay, she is actually going to get the 2. Which is not too bad. We have a Bark Beast that we can kind of throw away as a block. And I forgot, this deck does play Feral Mystic for some reason. I think Mystic is a bad card. Enlightened decks, I don't think even want it, but... Okay, he will go straight to battle here. I think I'm going to take the 2 from the Scarthane. We can block here, we can block here. We have the Prismatic Barrier for safety. Another Elixir of... Okay, that's all you get. You only get the 3. Do I Prismatic? I don't actually need to. And it's because of Enfeebling Strike is just going to allow this block to happen. It limits the damage that I actually do to myself by making her stronger. We don't want to swing with this Bark Beast, though. Because, again, it's Scarthane Stefan. Bloodsworn Pledge. That's really bad for me. We'll grant Lucian Barrier, because I do think he dies here on the backswing, even through Enfeebling Strike, just because of how much of a bonus Scarthane Stefan gets. Yeah, we did need to do that there. That Bloodsworn Pledge, though, keeping her alive. I could rally and go right back to combat, but the Scarthane Stefan is big enough at this point that Lucian can't kill him. I need a unit, and instead I'm going to draw a Confront. Which is not good, but also not technically bad, because I can ideally kill her as long as my opponent doesn't have another Bloodsworn Pledge. Unfortunate. I do have this backup Lucian in my hand. I will hold off on playing him until my next round, though, because I do have that rally. We've also got the Senna as well. This is not good. So we have to block here. She's going to get even bigger because of Scargrounds, because of her own effect. This is why I've been saying that you need to kill them in one go, because, yeah, if you allow them to survive combat even a couple of times, they very swiftly get out of control. What has he got? Shatter on the Senna. Which is disappointing. The biggest thing here is how big Scarthane Stefan is. I actually can't deal with him at all We will at least get in for 3 damage here. Senna will upgrade. But Lucian, I think, dies here despite Enfeebling Strike? Because Scarthane Stefan just gets back all of the power that he would have lost, and then some. So it's still on the AI's best interest to just block. In with the Senna. Does he have anything? Please tell me you're out of remove... Oh, I messed up, actually. I forgot. Because of the tough, he is able to trade. Feral Mystic actually might get to live up his power fantasy here, but we do have a Black Spear to remove the Unscarred Reaver, so she's finally off the table, and now we're in top deck war. The advantage I have is I'm rallying every turn, which does give me some advantages, but he's also enlightened, so this is now a 6/6, I believe, which is really scary. The Wolf Rider's coming down as well. I have a Senna, but I can't do anything with the Senna, because unfortunately this can block her for free. Now I'm starting to think maybe I made a mistake in... Okay, we can get some damage through sideways with these guys here. I do kind of have to be doing stuff like this. What did he top deck? Avalanche. That's probably the game. Especially because Scargrounds is going to keep all of his guys alive. He just goes straight to combat and he has exactly lethal. That's tilting. Black Spear does nothing for me, so yeah, it's over. Because, unfortunately, I just feel like I didn't have any units there. I gotta look at this deck afterwards and see how many spells I had, but that's really tragic. I didn't lose in the same place. I actually lost earlier this time around. But it feels like I said, always is getting through the Freljord is the hard part. Once you can make it to Piltover and Zon, usually your deck is refined enough by that point that you can make it work. But really, the Freljord is just so hard that Scargrounds is a hell of a card. Some would argue too strong. I would probably argue too strong. But that's beside the point here. It's not going to give me quantities, unfortunately. But I definitely was packing a lot of spells here. I mean, I know we have at least multiple copies of all of these spells, so that's not even a majority of the deck, though. I feel like I should have seen some more units, but alas, either way, it is what it is when you go for the Lap of Legends. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, so either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see more Lap of Legends in the future, I would love to play some more. Like I said, it's pretty relaxing. It's a lot of fun for me in particular, so let me know if you guys want to see more of this, if you want to go back to more of the deck breakdowns in the comments. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. And you can look forward to more Legends of Runeterra content like this on Sundays. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you all later.